Hey, good morning, everybody. Instagram and Facebook. My name is Amy Howard, and this is what we call Maker Monday. I know you may be watching it at other times or other days, but know there's a specific time on Mondays that we set aside to be able to go over processes and products that we have here at a Maker Studio to be able to show you how you can craft a beautiful life. So today, I love today. Today, I've always said life is an adventure. As I've been on this journey in my life, many of you are much younger than me. That's why I'm called the Mother Maker at a Maker Studio. But I really do look at life as an adventure. Every day is a fresh opportunity to experience all kinds of things. New friendships, new places to visit, new things to do. And so I think it's so appropriate that all the things that we're going to be showing you today that we've put together kind of in a little bundle. We're calling them a product bundle that we have special pricing on. We've put together, let me just show you, not only our brand new stencil design that the adventure begins, or life is an adventure, along with a sponge brush, some black chalk art, some white and orange, a gel ink that's a permanent ink that goes on clothes, as well as a spreader. So I am going to be using some other things that I'll go over with you that you may want to add to it. But as you'll notice, if you see this on social media, or maybe if a maker that you know shares this with you, this is a special pricing on this bundle for $48 that we've put together that allows you to be able to do a lot of the projects that I'm going to be doing today. So let's take a look really quickly at some of these projects that I'm going to be showing you. What an adorable t-shirt this is. I love the color of this green. Now I will tell you, we go to places like Dollar Tree or Dollar Store, but you can also go shopping in your closet, go shopping in your drawers, and just get a plain t-shirt. This is a Hanes t-shirt, just a crew neck. But look at this adorable Gone Camping design that you're going to see. Let's look at it. This is our stencil, and I'm going to go over our stencils in just a minute. But just this section right here, these lines are areas that you clip and cut to be able to create all these different stencils. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different stencils on this particular one stencil pack. So we created this Gone Camping design on that t-shirt. Now look at this. This is a Dollar Store find, General Dollar Store, whatever, I think that's what it's called. And this is done with our stencil here that says, "Not all who wander are lost." Love that. And then you've got your compass in the middle. But is that not adorable? Is that not the cutest hat? I could totally see going on a hike this summer and wearing this adorable hat. And we've made it more custom with this stencil right here. All right, now, I love, love, love this, and I'm going to show you how to be able to create this today. The adventure begins. What a cute little sign to be able to have in a grouping, kind of a gallery setting grouping, maybe in your family room, an office. What a great gift this would be. And I'm going to show you how to be able to create this in just a minute. As well as, you know, we all worry about lunch here at the studio. What are we going to eat for lunch? Did you bring your lunch? Are you ordering lunch? And what a cute little bag to have, of course, be able to keep things cold in here. And this was also gotten at the dollar store. So it allows you to be able to customize whatever you're going to be able to bring your lunch in for that day. So the adventure begins. Love that. All right, so I wanted to show you all the different things that you could create. Of course, you know, we didn't even go over the arrows much, and we didn't go over Explore. What a great t-shirt just to be able to have Explore on it. You know, your kids are getting ready to go off to camp for this summer, if you're thinking about that. We have great monogramming stencils, so of course you can monogram, you can put their name on anything. But how cute would it be to make cute little camper and Gone Camping and adventure t-shirts for your kids to be able to wear at camp? So you can customize them. If you want to, you can even put inside it, you can put an M for Monday, T for Tuesday. I always used to put them in little bags together to let kids know what day of the week you're supposed to wear these on. Yes, is there a question?
Fallon said, how do I get one?
How do I get one? All right, so There will be, on this feed, you can go to our website, you can choose a maker, and also there'll be other makers that will get in contact with you, but you can go to makerstudio.com, and that's 2 S's. It's makers, it's plural, studio.com. So you can go, we have a whole listing of our different stencils, but this is a special stencil pack and a special pricing that we have for this week on how to be able to do the adventure stencil. So I'm going to show you really quickly how to be able to create this adorable sign that we have right here. So first thing you're going to want to be able to do is you can go online, you can Google vintage or antique maps. It's important that you get one that's more antique or vintage. That's an important wording to use, because when you print it off, it's going to look like this. It almost looks like sepia tones. And you want to print off a vintage or antique world map. That way it looks really cool like this. And it's going to be where it looks almost like it's sepia tone or like it's tea stained or it's dirty, because that's what's going to make my sign look more vintage. So that's one thing that you can do, and you can print it off on just regular copy paper. I'm going to set that aside. So I'm just working with a regular 10-inch square frame. We do have these at a maker studio. You can talk to your maker and they can help you with this. These are available primarily in our classes, because we do have makers across the country that teach physical classes. This is what we call a virtual class. We love teaching you how to be able to make projects like this. If you're like me, I'm a creative. I like making things with my hands. I love giving gifts of something that I have done myself, because frankly, we can all run to the store and buy anything we want, but time is a gift that we have that we can give someone else. And when you make something with your own hands, I think it makes it that much nicer. All right, so we are 10 o'clock Central Standard Time on Monday morning. So if you are watching, and it's live, feel free to ask questions about what we're doing specifically today, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. All right, so on this particular frame that we're working with, it is raw. I'm going to be working with one of our products that we have here, and this is called our English Walnut Gel Stain. Now, I wished we had smell-o-vision. I wished you could see and smell at the same time, because this smells amazing. We've got essential oils in here, so it was important for me to make sure that it didn't have a bad odor to it. A lot of times when you work with stains, they have bad odors and it makes you not want to work with them. So I'm going to go in and take this one that we've already started to be able to show you what it looks like. Now you'll notice how I've taped off this area in here. You want to tape off this back area to where you don't, you're not going to get the stain on it. So just make sure it's protected. And you're going to take the sponge brush here, and I'm going to take just a little bit. It doesn't take much. And you can apply it. You want to make sure that you get in the insides like this. And then I'm just going to take a little rag. That way I can get in the crevices and on the outside like this. The cool thing about our gel stain, you can use this over existing stained pieces. That's a whole other class, but it works great when we're working with raw wood as well. I love incorporating stained finishes with painted finishes on furniture as well as projects. So I'm just going to wipe this off in long, clean strokes. All right. So now after my stain is applied and it's dry, I want you to go on and take off the tape. And then you want to make sure that you protect this area on the side. You want to make sure that it's dry. It's going to probably take about 30 minutes for this stain to dry completely. If you want it just a little bit darker, you can come back and make it darker. All right, and I apologize. I've got this nasty Band-Aid on my hand. This weekend I was so excited that there were dogwood trees blooming all over my house, and so I don't know why, Jean and I got through playing tennis and I was holding the lid to the top of the tennis ball can and trying to pull a dogwood branch down at the same time, and that metal thing went and sliced my finger open. So I apologize, it looks pretty nasty this morning. All right, so now I'm gonna take one of my favorite colors, it's called Southern Gentleman, of our Rescue Restore paint. And I'm gonna paint this inside panel of my wood frame. All right, so make sure you've got that tape down there because that allows you to just protect what you just did with the stain. And then just paint it in long, clean strokes. I always make sure when I'm painting to keep a wet edge. And you want to make sure too that you probably just put on one nice coat and then come back and do a second coat. Look how I'll paint in the same direction. You know, the nice thing about it is, too, a lot of people don't realize with our Rescue Restore paint, it has no VOCs. There's no chemical compounds that you have to worry about your health or inhaling it. It's actually a really nice experience, and you don't have to prep or prime or, and you don't have to seal it either. All right, so I don't have any tape there. I'm gonna come back and put some tape there, but I already have one that is actually painted and ready for me. So I'm gonna set this aside. And then it's almost like a cooking show. I've already got it ready. Ta-da! It's already dry. All right, so now I've got my stain. I was making sure that I protected it with some tape. I've got my Southern Gentleman already in the center. Now, remember, we printed off, just Google vintage world maps. We wanna make sure that we do vintage because that way it's gonna have that beautiful sepia tone, and I'll give you a little trick. If you can't find one that's already done that way, you can put a tea bag in a cup of warm water, let it cool down, and you can come back and I'll take a sponge and I'll literally lay some of the tea onto the map itself, and it will give it that beautiful sepia color tone. All right, so you wanna just measure however you want this to be able to fit on here. So I would probably come back, you wanna make sure that you've got, I'm gonna put my glasses on just a second. Are we good on questions? Is everybody good? So I've got like these little lines. See this graph on here that's just natural because of the image? I can actually use these to be able to make sure that I've got straight lines. I'm gonna do this one right here.
Amy, we have a question from the Facebook page about what size stain and paint come in the kit.
So in this bundle this week, I'm just showing you a lot of different projects that you can do. The bundle this week is the inks, your Preaching to the Choir, and it's full size, they're not sample size, as well as your spreader and the stencil. So this week's bundle is not just about this. We wanted to show you all the different projects that you can use. So that way you're gonna be able to make this hat, you're gonna be able to make the t-shirt, you're gonna be able to make this bag, you're gonna be able to make all kinds of clothes, get your kids ready for camp, and that's why we've given you these colors. So it's more of a product bundle this week than it is just doing one particular project. Does that help answer that?
Yes, thank you.
Uh-huh. All right. So I'm gonna come back and trim this down just a little bit more. I could have left that on there, but I'm just gonna put that in the center just to kind of give you an idea. All right, so that way I'm gonna glue that, but now I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna choose The Adventure Begins. So notice again, if you're not familiar with our stencils, they are adhesive, and they're made out of a polypropylene material that allows you to be able to use them again and again. So I'm gonna set this aside. And so there's a backing on this stencil that allows me, I'm gonna pull that apart right here. Can you see how it's really shiny? It's very sticky, but you can still use it on paper. It's not sticky enough that you can use it, or too sticky, so you can use it on paper. So I'm gonna lay this right on top of here like this. You wanna make sure that it's nice and centered wherever you want it to go. And then just press it in like this. And now with this bundle, you are going to get a full size container of your gel ink. And I'm just gonna cut this spreader that I get in half because I don't need the full size there. So just take a little bit out like this. It's always best to use less, and then that way you can add more as you go.
You're using chalk art, correct?
I am using chalk art. I am not using gel ink. The chalk art is meant for surfaces like this. The great thing about it is you can use it on wood, you can use it on paper, a lot of different surfaces. But if you want to change it out or you want to get rid of it, all you have to do is wipe it off. The gel inks that I'm getting ready to show you in just a minute are more used on fabrics, and they're permanent for fabric. All right, so I'm just going to take this where I'm spreading it out. I am pushing it through the stencil. Now here's the cool thing about it is, if you're like, I'm not creative, so I'm going to mess stuff up. You cannot mess this up. This is so fun. That's what we've made it so easy for you here at a Maker Studio, and the fact that you can do projects like this and enjoy the bragging rights from it. And then if you love the stencil, which I do, everybody here does, you can clean it off and use it on another project, whether it's with the ink or chalk art. Now look how much I've got left over. I'm just going to open this container back up, and I'm going to spread that inside there, and then I'm going to clean that off. So I'm going to close this up, make sure it's really tight, and then I'm just going to pull my stencil away. Look at this. Now, one thing I want to point out, see how it's not perfect right here? That's intentional. I made the stencil to where it looked kind of vintage. It's not going to be solid. That's actually part of the stencil itself, so where the wording looks older. Ta-da! See how easy that is? Yes, it's that easy. So I'm going to come back over here. I'm just going to place it. I'm loving how that looks. I'm just going to come back with some Elmer's glue and brush that on the back with my sponge brush, and then that way it's going to adhere. Now, there's something else I'm going to do. I've got some little arrows here that are really fun and easy to work with, and I'm going to take these three right here. I'm going to cut that. There again, I'm going to pull this backing off. See how you just kind of separate that just a little bit, so that way you can see that mesh is there. It's not cut open. You can't get this kind of look with a silhouette or a Cricut or anything that you can do yourself. This is a patented process that we have developed with these stencils that allow you to be able to get a lot of beautiful detail. Now, look how I didn't cut this arrow off completely. I need that extra space there with those little arrows, so I'm just going to focus on this one little arrow right here. So okay, is there a question?
Amy, we've got a couple questions of people asking how you would clean the stencil.
All right, so if I've got a container, Laurie's going to get me a container, and I'm going to show you really quickly how to be able to clean it. So I'm going to take just a little bit more out of the chalk art, and I'm going to spread it just a little bit because I want it everywhere. Cool thing about it is you don't have to worry about this bothering your health or your skin. Just cleans off with soap and water really easily. All right, so look how I'm just going to hold this. See my little arrow that I've placed here? I'm just trying to be focused on that one little area. I'm pressing it through because it's got to go through that mesh. Look at that. Guys, it doesn't get any easier than that. Look at the detail on it. Isn't that fun? So that way I can just lay it down again. Or if you want to, you can get another one. They don't all have to be the same. You could have a different arrow every other one, which I think could add a lot of detail. Isn't that fun? I'm just laying it down as I go along. Look at that. And I'll just work my way all the way around, so I've got a cute little border. If you wanted to, you could come back and you could actually paint some of the chalk art on the sides if you wanted to. Now, to answer your question, how do I clean it? So I've just got a little container of water right here, and I'm just going to pop my stencils into the water. Let me hold that. Can you see that? And I've just got a natural seawool sponge. Look at this. So I'm just going to wipe that over it like this. Can you see one part where it's completely clean now and how the chalk art is on here? So that way I'm just cleaning it off like this. The water is not going to affect the adhesiveness of it. I will tell you what will affect the adhesiveness of it. You want to make sure now when you clean this, this is the adhesive side, I want you to make sure that you lay this up. I want to make sure that I don't get it on my paper because I'm not quite finished with my projects yet. So this is the upside. If you want to pat it just a little bit like this, then set it aside and leave it alone. I would prefer for you to stay away from any type of lint. Don't use paper towels. That's one of the worst things you can do because a lot of people will use paper towels and they'll set it down with the adhesive side on the paper towel. And what happens, the fibers from that paper towel or a terry cloth or a towel, they will get into the adhesiveness from it. You just want to make sure that it air dries really nicely, and then that way put it back in the sleeve that the actual stencil comes in, and that way you can use it again and again. Now, you know, usage and what you're using it on, whether it's paper or maybe wood or it's cloth, you can have several uses. A lot of people will think once you buy it, it's it. It will lose its tactfulness, but once it dries, that tackiness is going to come back. But you can get several uses out of it, especially a lot of people that have shops on Etsy or they like to resell these. What a great t-shirt to be able to sell or give as a gift. But you'll be able to make a ton of t-shirts one after another. Just like I did with my arrow, you can lay your t-shirts up and you don't have to clean it in between. If you're working with the ink, you can just lay it down, and then that way you can do 15, 20 shirts at one sitting without ever washing it. Hopefully that kind of helps with that question. All right, so I'm going to set this aside and let this air dry. Now I want to be able to show you, so on this particular one we use the same stencil. So I'm going to turn this around and I want to just kind of show you. This is not quite dry. So I'm just going to pat this just a little bit because now I'm switching product that I'm going to be working with. All right. So just a second ago, what were we working with? We were working with chalk art. Now, chalk art and gel ink are two totally different products. The chalk art allows you to be able to create chalkboards, to create boards that have a beautiful matte finish to it. This is actually calcium carbonate in a chalk form that when it's dry, here's what's different. If you had painted this or done any type of chalk art with it, when you rubbed it, what would happen to normal chalk? It would rub off. The cool thing about it is, with this, it's permanent until you decide you want to redo it. So what's so great to be able to have some artwork in your house, and that way you can wipe it with water, and then you can start completely over again. All right, loving how those look. Now, so I'm going to lay my stencil really hasn't dried very well, but I'm going to lay this down here. Look how I can work with white, black, and orange. You can use some chalk art on fabric materials like this, but you don't want to wash it. Usually you wouldn't be throwing something like this in the washer, but if you want to, let's be sure and stick with our gels. So look how I'm going to squeeze some of that out like this. I'm going to have to get my glasses back on so I can show you. All right, so now I'm going to just take this gel ink and I'm going to lay it down, holding my stencil into place. Cool thing about this gel ink is that it's permanent. I'm going to allow this to dry about 2 to 4 hours, and then I'm going to come back with a heat set, whether it's an iron or a press, and I'm going to make sure I heat it after it's dry. After it's dried about 2 to 3 or 4 hours, I'm going to come back with an iron and I'm going to place a piece of fabric over it, a lint-free fabric like this, just a rag, and then I'm going to press my iron on top of it. I want to make sure I get to between 225 and 250 degrees, and that's going to make it permanent into this fabric. That way you can throw it in the washing machine and not worry about it. So when you've got different designs and maybe you don't want it to be one color, then you can mix the colors together and make multiple colors. But you can also, I'm going to cut me another one of these. You can also make it look pretty professional by mixing colors. All right, so I'm going to spread just a little bit of white here. And I'm going to come back. Make sure to hold your stencil. A sweet little canoe. Love this. I have grandchildren that go to a great camp not too far from Memphis, and I'm going to make them some adorable stuff to be able to use for their camp. Is that the cutest? How easy is that? So if I wanted to, if I've got it lined up and I'm making some t-shirts and little bags, even little backpacks and sleeping bags and all that type thing. You know, the fun thing about it is I can even use this on their pillowcases. So if you wanted to lay out a pillowcase or you wanted to be able to have their sheets, you can take the inks and you can do multiple designs and patterns. So maybe I could just take the word explore and do that all over their pillowcase and then put their name in the center. That's one of the reasons why we love doing monograms. We have alphabet stencils that you can do. Also, remember the hat? Look at the hat. The same thing was done as far as laying this pattern down. I'm just going to show you one more time because I try to be really careful with my time on Monday morning. I know everybody doesn't have forever to sit there and watch me do this. Are there any questions? Are we good? Let us know where you're from when you watch these Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives or Instagram Stories. Let us know where you're from. Send me some love. I love knowing you're coming from Florida or Texas, or it really allows me to be able to plan as far as trips, events, all that type thing. All right, so here's our hat. Here's going to be my new walking hat this summer. So look how we're just laying that here on the front of the hat. Make sure you press that in so that adhesiveness from that stencil can stick onto that fabric. And you're just going to need to hold this with your hand. It's good to be able to cut down even smaller. So I'm going to press that in. Kind of hard to do this with one hand, but I'm going to squeeze just a little bit of the ink out. And look here. Look how I can come in on this compass. And again, with this gel ink, it's a really nice thick consistency. It's a permanent ink. It's the same thing that people use that are professional silk screeners. It's what they use to do t-shirts and any type of wearables. You're doing the same thing by using this stencil that you can use over and over again. Look at this. You ready? So I'm just going to lift this up for you to be able to see it. How fun is that? I love that just by itself too. That looks pretty cool. Remember, you just want to come back, allow it to be able to dry about 2 to 3 hours. Come back with a cloth rag, set it on top of there, and then heat press it. You want to make sure that the iron makes that ink go down into the fibers of the hat, or whatever piece that you're going to be doing the design on. So again, just to let you know, we have a special bundle this week where we have 2 full-size gel inks. We have a full-size chalk art, a spreader, a sponge brush, and this gorgeous Adventure Begins stencil with all these 6 designs that you can create all these adorable pieces, getting your kids ready for camp, getting ready for the summer, or being able to create your own apparel to be able to go on your next vacation with your family. So be in touch with one of the makers that shared this video with you today, and have a great, great week, everybody. Bye.